There is a huge issue with the Viz translation's accuracy for basically every chapter before volume 65 of One Piece. This is a video I've been meaning to make for a while because it's a topic I haven't seen anybody cover within the One Piece community, and it is definitely something that needs to be addressed for as many people as possible to see. Please share this video to your friends, like the video to help it get more traction, and try and spread this information to as many people as you can. The official translation for One Piece manga chapters is provided by Viz Media, which is owned by Shueisha. Shueisha is the publishing company in Japan that releases the weekly Shonen Jump magazine, and the weekly Shonen Jump magazine is obviously the magazine that One Piece is published in. For the longest time, people within the community have said that the most accurate translations for One Piece is obviously the official translations, and this is what people use for certain facts and vital pieces of information needed to make a case, whether it be for analysis purposes or power scaling purposes. Accurate translations are always something you'd seek out when talking about the manga because you obviously want to understand what the author is trying to convey. A big problem within the One Piece community is that a lot of people only read fan-made scanlations off of websites like MangaStream or J-Mini's Box. Obviously, a few months ago, MangaStream and J-Mini's Box actually stopped scanlating One Piece chapters because it's illegal and it provided a ton of issues for the guys who were doing it. But still, every Friday, 2 days before the official release of the chapter, One Piece fans, including myself, get our hands on the scans before the official release of the chapter. They get their hands on the raw scans and they translate the chapter themselves. Now, I read these fan translated scanlations. I do have a Viz Media subscription, but I also have an addiction to One Piece that refrains me from being able to sit tight for 2 days whilst the rest of the community have a chapter to read. I can understand your issues with this, but just me being a content creator, I don't want to be spoiled from Friday to Sunday. There's a huge chance of me getting spoiled on Twitter, on YouTube, on Discord, so I've never really wanted to make the switch to just reading the official release on Sunday. However, this obviously isn't to say that I don't support the official release. I do support the official release. Like I just said, I have a Viz Media subscription, and I strongly suggest that you guys get yourselves a Viz Media subscription if you don't already. The only reason why I see you not getting it is if it isn't available in your country or if you can't afford it, which is both understandable, but it is literally only $2 per month. So trying to support the mangaka, trying to support Oda's work is something that we should all try to do. Regardless though guys, that isn't the point of this video. I'm sure you can watch numerous videos on YouTube about this. The point of this video is actually to address an issue with the official release of the chapters. This actually doesn't really matter that much for the casual fans because casual fans can read inaccurate, poorly translated scanlations and they won't really matter much because the main things, the main crux of things still tend to get across pretty well. The hardcore fans who want a power scale, who want to analyze the series, who want to understand exactly what Oda is trying to convey when he writes the series, this video is for you guys. The point of this video is to make you guys understand that the translations, the official releases translations, aren't as accurate as people make them seem. Well, at least up until volume 65, because currently, for the last 30 volumes, the Viz translation has definitely been the most credible source out there, because the current translator of Viz, Stephen Paul, is a very skilled and very well respected individual within the community. So if you want the most accurate and most credible translation, I would obviously suggest reading the Viz as translated by Stephen Paul. However, Stephen obviously wasn't always around. One Piece has been around for like 20 years. He only started translating for One Piece in volume 65, which means a good 2/3 of the series is poorly translated. Well, at least not as well translated as Stephen's translations. Why do you think Zoro's name is Zolo in the Viz? That was a mistranslation that Viz just has to go along with now because they've already officially released 65 volumes with Zolo as the translation, and they obviously aren't just going to change that now. So I know you guys are thinking, what about the first 65 volumes? Where can I read an accurately translated scanlation version of One Piece for the first 637 chapters? Well, the answer is you can't. Unfortunately, you can't read an accurately translated scanlation for all 637 chapters, but I can give you a translation script for the first 545 chapters directly from Stephen Paul himself. Volume 55 to 65 are unfortunately not translated, so you'll have to read the normal Viz, which is kinda poorly translated. But for chapters 1 to 545 and 637 onwards, Stephen Paul has provided his own translations. He actually went back and translated the first 55 volumes of One Piece, and I'll leave a link in the description to those translations, to the translations of the first 545 chapters. I highly suggest you look at these and only use these in a debate because they are far more accurate than Viz's translations. Unfortunately, these are not scanlations though, these are just translation scripts, so you can use this to like validate or invalidate certain translations, but you obviously can't read it in order unless you just don't mind just reading it as a normal script without seeing the artwork. Regardless though, this is very important and I definitely suggest you check this out because these inaccurate Viz translations can prove detrimental to one's interpretation of the series. For the hardcore One Piece fans out there, you obviously want to know exactly what Oda is trying to say with every panel. You don't want something to be inaccurate, even if it's just a little bit. So this is important for you guys to check out because I know I loved seeing this and actually finding out about this, and it actually changed a ton of my opinions after reading through a lot of panels. For example, in chapter 233, Buggy is shown talking about Whitebeard. In the Viz translation, he says Whitebeard is the only man to have ever fought Gold Roger and lived. Now, we obviously know this is a lie. Shiki fought Roger and lived. Garp fought Roger and lived. Sengoku probably fought Roger and lived. Stephen Paul's translation for this says that Whitebeard was a legendary monster who was once the only man who could match the Pirate King. There is a huge distinction between these two statements. The Viz translation makes it seem as if every single person who fought Roger died except for Whitebeard, which is obviously unfactual, so it's actually kinda crazy to think that the official translation can have something that inaccurate. Another example is chapter 438 when Garp is shown throwing cannonballs at the Straw Hats. In the Viz he says, they don't fly half as fast as they used to, implying that Garp's physical strength has halved due to old age. People use this to say his throwing power has halved because the cannonballs fly half as fast. People have used this against me on various occasions in debates and quantified Garp's decrease in power as a 50% decrease, and they say that he is half the man he was in his prime, and that's just kind of absurd. But then you look at the Stephen Paul translation and all Garp says is that the velocity of the throws, like it just says my velocity has been dropping lately, which means yes, the cannonballs don't fly as fast anymore, but he didn't say half, he didn't give a number. You can't quantify how much the velocity is dropping, so Garp is obviously weaker than he was in his prime, but you can't really quantify how much weaker. And it's obviously not going to be by 50% because that would be absurd. A lot of people think Garp is currently perhaps defeating admirals. I personally don't, but I can see the logic behind the people that put Garp on the same level or above the admirals. So imagine those people have Garp above the admirals and they only have him at 50%. Then Garp in his prime would obliterate admirals, and that's just quite crazy to think about, and like it's just not the case obviously. Another example of Stephen Paul's translation being way better than the Viz translation would be the conversation between Blackbeard and Luffy. Basically the epic speech, the people's dreams never end or never die, and basically Luffy is on the ground and was shown these two panels. One panel of Shanks and one panel of Ace, and Ace basically says, the next time we'll meet is when you're at the pirate's top. This is the Viz translation, by the way. The inaccurate translation said, the next time we'll meet is when you're at the pirate's top. However, in the Stephen Paul translation, Ace says the next time we meet will be at the pirate's summit. And when is the next time Luffy and Ace meet? At the Summit War. That was a very cool piece of foreshadowing of the Summit War that was actually left out from the official release because of an inaccurate translation. This is 330 chapters before Marineford began, before the Summit War began, and Oda, he had that stuff planned and he had it foreshadowed little pieces of information, and that was robbed from us because of an inaccurate translation. Like, it isn't anything huge, of course, but getting the best translation possible is something that I'm actually kind of happy about. And there are numerous other examples of this. You can go and check, you can go and look at statements from the official release and compare it to the Stephen Paul, and you'll actually have a completely different interpretation based off of the way certain things are said, because this has actually changed my opinion on numerous things, seeing Stephen Paul's translation. But at the end of the day, translators are human and they make mistakes, so even Stephen Paul's translations aren't perfect. They're obviously going to have a few mistakes here and there because he's human, it's inevitable. At the end of the day, if you want the most accurate translation for One Piece possible, your best bet is to ask a credible translator directly. I've left a link to the first raw chapter of One Piece in the description, so if you want access to the raw Japanese scans, there you go. I had to make this video because I need to get this information out to everybody. Everybody deserves to know it, and there are certain statements that I want to use the Stephen Paul translations for in upcoming videos, and I'll have to refer back to this video for the guys who don't understand why I'm not using the official Viz translation for anything before volume 65. All of the necessary links are in the description. Make sure you guys spread this information if you're a huge One Piece fan who debates a lot about the series, because this is valuable information that everybody deserves to know. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks a lot for watching. Comment your thoughts on the matter. Join the Discord, the link to which will be in the description, and subscribe for more One Piece content. I've been Fiji. Peace.